good afternoon and welcome to Data Center Nation. My name is Ambrose McNevin. I'm joined today by Sergio Milesi. Sergio is president of the Swiss Data Center Association. Sergio, welcome to Data Center Nation.
Thank you very much, Ambrose. I'm happy to be here.
Sergio, awareness of the data center sector has risen very rapidly globally. How has the public perception of the sector and data centers changed? And are there any areas of concern surrounding data center development in Switzerland?
That's a very good question, Ambrose, and I'm happy that you asked this because it is a very recent topic, and there has been a massive increase in awareness about data centers in Switzerland, in the Swiss population. Unfortunately, it has not been always in a positive context. Because, for instance, at the end of last autumn, winter 22, in Switzerland, there was big talk about electricity shortage due to Ukraine conflict, because of the natural gas not coming in, because of many nuclear plants of the French were in maintenance, so we import French nuclear electricity. And because the hydropower plants, lakes were quite empty because it was very dry. And the excitement was really big. Even on a political level, there were measures defined, laws defined, prepared, escalation levels, what happened if, and so on, were defined. But in the meantime, I can say the situation has calmed down. It was a mild winter it was rainy a little bit, so the situation is better. However, in this discussion, that was a discussion which also increased a lot awareness of data center, because the data center emerged as large electricity consumer and demanders, and this has remained in the brains, in the heads of the Swiss. And so at the Swiss Data Center Association, we want to counteract and explain that the data center, if you put a server in a data center, it can be operated much more effective than it is if it stays in a private data center where it consumes much more electricity. This is our main message, that a modern data center is an electricity saver and not an electricity consumer.
And can you describe some of the requirements that are particular to Switzerland for building and running data centers, especially for that developers, operators, and end users themselves need to consider?
Yeah. Here, the first point. Let me mention some points, but the first point is a known point. Switzerland is I would say, a very high cost country. So the cost of living, the cost of construction, the cost of labor is high, and this has to be considered if you come to Switzerland. Secondly, the regulation in Switzerland is at a reasonable level. They are pragmatic, clear, and stable. However, I think it's very important that data centers know very well the regulations for data security, for security, physical security, for environmental sustainability issues, and so on. Third point is Switzerland is a small country, so the land which is ideal for building a data center is not much, so it's very limited, let's say. And then there is also the factor of the sufficient redundant power supply, so the power grid, and good connectivity. These are, let's say, not the difficulties, but the issues which have to be cared about. Despite this, I would say Switzerland is nevertheless a very attractive country for data centers. Because why? This is also some points of that. The margin, the profit margin is still high. The political stability and the stability of regulations is excellent. So it allows you a long-term planning, because data center needs big investments and so on, and you are happy if you can plan for 10 years or 20 years. So this is very good in Switzerland. The power supply is stable and reliable, so you don't have power outages in Switzerland. The education system in Switzerland is excellent, so the professionals are very qualified and proven. And finally, let's say the made in Switzerland quality of services that the data center can provide in Switzerland is also very high compared to other countries, let's say.
Interesting, fascinating indeed. Now, climate change and setting net zero targets, or not, are high on the political agenda in Switzerland. And what are some of the challenges that attitudes to climate change and net zero targets pose for the data center sector?
Yeah. First, I want to say that the Swiss data centers are on commercial Swiss data centers are on a very high level in respect of net zero targets and so on, of efficiency and all these things. And it's not easy for them to achieve further efficiency. So you have really to invest a lot of money for each little percentage of efficiency. And then there are really political discussions of how using, for instance, the waste heat, to put the waste heat in local district heating systems and so on. But this would also be a big issue for data centers. So you can't build a data center anymore where you don't have a district heating system. This is not good. So in this respect, we are following very closely what happens in the politics in Switzerland. And as an association, Swiss Data Center Association is also a member of the European Data Center Associations. And we have regular exchanges and meetings. So we see what's happening in other countries. For instance, in Germany, there was a very high pressure to put on data centers to use their waste heat. This would have been a big problem for data centers, and they could stop it. And so I'm happy to follow it and see how you do it, and so we can profit from other countries. On the other side, Switzerland is a, let's say, a high technology country where we have very good and strong, efficient technology development, and this is also supported and promoted. So with the better technology, you can also increase the efficiency of data centers.
I just have a quick follow-up question, if I may, Sergio.
Yeah.
Would you say that the Swiss political system, politicians and the public are fully aligned with the rest of Europe in terms of the necessity to achieve carbon net zero in a stated time frame by 2040 or 2050?
Fully. Switzerland is not in the EU, but Switzerland follows EU regulations, if you want. Sometimes even more than in the European countries. So you can, if you look at these regulations, and so you can say Switzerland is on the same level as other European countries. Yeah. Ambrose, I wanted to mention one point more about the efficiency. Swiss Data Center Association is one of the founder of the Swiss Data Center Efficiency Group. This is a group which works together with the Federal Institute of Technology and Lausanne and develops certificates for the overall efficiency of the data center. And it's much more strict than the usual certificates. It's unique in the world, and they really try to promote this also outside of Switzerland. This is also a good thing which comes from Switzerland.
Fantastic, thank you. The last question then is around the data center sector itself. Switzerland has, quite as you said, a buoyant data center sector. So what's driving the demand? And do you see continued investment growth, say in a 3 to 5 year time frame?
Ambrose, some years ago, 5 or 10 years ago, for Swiss companies and consumers, they had to accept that their data was stored outside Switzerland and processed outside Switzerland. Because the big hyperscalers, they had their data centers in Frankfurt, in Amsterdam, in London, in Milano, and not in Switzerland. And the big companies, there are quite some big companies, they constantly had the pressure that they say, I want my data be stored and processed in Switzerland, and the demand increased and so on, so that today most of the hyperscalers build their own data centers in Switzerland. And this was, I would say, the biggest factor growth for data centers in Switzerland. They are really, for us, for a small country like Switzerland, very big hyperscaler data centers in Switzerland. And this changed the landscape in Switzerland a lot. Besides, there is the normal development of data growing constantly because of Internet of Things and artificial intelligence and all these things. And the demand for storage and processing of the data is increasing. So I would say I would be positive for a future for the next year for the data center industry in Switzerland.
Sergio Milesi, President of the Swiss Data Center Association, thank you for speaking with Data Center Nation.
Thank you very much, Ambrose.